I gave my wife's best friend a ride home one night, and what she whispered, right before she got out of the car still, keeps me awake some nights. You're about to hear a story that sounds simple on the surface. A guy, his wife's best friend, a car ride. But trust me, nothing about this night was simple. By the time this video ends, you'll understand why one sentence whispered in the dark can completely flip someone's life upside down. Stick with me. I picked Chloe up around 9 at night. The airport was quiet. She looked tired. Work trip tired. The kind of tired where you don't even have the energy to pretend to be fine. She threw her bag in the back seat, got in the passenger side, and said, "Thanks for doing this. I owe you one." I said, "Don't worry about it." And we started driving. Here's the thing about car rides with someone you kind of know but not really. You run out of small talk fast. We talked about the flight, about the weather, about how Sarah was doing. Normal stuff. Surface stuff. But then the conversation started to slow down. And when conversation slows down inside a car at night, something happens. The silence gets heavy. Not in a bad way, just real. I didn't think much of it. I figured she was tired. I turned on the radio low just to fill the space. And we drove. Now I need to tell you a little about Chloe so you understand why what happened next hit so hard. Chloe is not the quiet type. Every time I've seen her at parties or dinners, she's the loudest person in the room. The life of the party. The one who laughs first and laughs loudest. She makes jokes. She teases people. She's the kind of person who walks into a room and you immediately feel like the energy just went up a notch. So seeing her quiet and drained in my passenger seat, it felt off. But again, I thought, work trip. Long flight. It happens. We were about 10 minutes from her place when she suddenly turned down the radio. Not off, just low. And she said, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Sure." And then she went quiet again. For almost a full minute. I remember looking over at her for a second. She was staring out the window at the rain. And I could tell. I could just feel that she was working up the courage to say something. Here's what you need to understand. Chloe and Sarah have been best friends since college. 15 years. They've been through everything together. Breakups, job losses, family stuff. My wedding. Chloe was the maid of honor. She gave a speech that made half the room cry. That's how close they are. And me? I've always been the husband. The guy in the background. Chloe and I have always been friendly, but we've never had a deep conversation. Never one-on-one like this. So when she started acting strange in the car, my brain went to a few places. None of them were good. I thought maybe she was going to tell me something about Sarah. Something Sarah
hadn't told me.
Or maybe she was going to confess some secret she'd been holding. Or maybe, and this is where my stomach dropped, maybe she was going to say something she shouldn't say. You know that feeling, right? When you're in a situation that seems normal, but your gut is screaming at you that, boy, something is about to go sideways. That was me. Right there. 10 minutes from her apartment. Rain on the windshield. Radio low. She finally turned to look at me. Not fully. Just enough that I could see her face in the glow of the dashboard lights. And she said, "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" I didn't know how to answer that. So I just said, "What do you mean?" And that's when she whispered it. Not loud, not dramatic like in a movie, just soft enough that I had to lean in a little to hear her over the rain. She said, "I've been in love with you for 3 years, and I can't keep pretending anymore." I almost ran a red light. No, seriously. I had to slam on the brakes. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My mind went completely blank. For a few seconds, I couldn't process what I had just heard. I thought maybe I misheard her. Maybe she said something else. Maybe she said, "I've been in love with your dog," or "I've been in love with your cooking." Anything but that. But no, she said exactly what she said. I pulled over to the side of the road. Not because I planned to, but because I couldn't drive anymore. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Chloe didn't say anything else. She just sat there looking down at her hands, and I could see that she was shaking too. Not from the cold, from fear. From finally saying something she had been holding inside for years. Let me be real with you for a second. In that moment, 1,000 thoughts ran through my head. How long had she felt this way? Had she ever told anyone? Did Sarah know? Had I done something to make her think this was okay to say? Was I supposed to be angry? Was I supposed to feel sorry for her? I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. So I did the only thing I could think of. I took a deep breath and I said, Chloe, I love Sarah, you know that. She nodded, still not looking at me. And then she said something that broke my heart a little. She said, I know. That's why I never said anything. I was hoping it would go away. But it didn't, it just got louder. She told me that she had tried everything. She dated other people. She moved to a different city for 6 months. She even went to therapy. But every time she came back and saw me with Sarah, laughing, cooking dinner, just being normal, the feeling came rushing back. She wasn't telling me because she wanted me to leave. Sarah, she wasn't trying to break up a marriage. She said, I'm telling you because I can't carry this alone anymore. It's eating me alive. Now here's where things get complicated. Because on one hand, I wanted to be mad. I wanted to tell her she had no right to say that to me. That she was putting me in an impossible position. That now I had to walk around with this secret that wasn't mine. But on the other hand, I felt sad for her. Really sad. Because loving someone who doesn't love you back, and may never love you back, is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. And she had been carrying that loneliness for 3 years, smiling at every family dinner, laughing at every holiday party, pretending everything was fine while secretly falling apart. There's actual research on this. Psychologists call it unrequited love, and studies show that it activates the same parts of the brain as physical pain. Not metaphorically, literally. The same neural pathways that light up when you break a bone or burn your hand. They light up when you love someone who doesn't love you back. So there she was, in my car, in so much emotional pain that she finally broke. I sat there for what felt like forever. Rain was still falling. The windshield wipers were squeaking back and forth. And I had to make a choice. How was I going to respond? I could have yelled at her. I could have driven her straight home and then called Sarah the second I walked through the door. I could have made her feel small and ashamed for saying what she said. But I didn't. Instead, I turned off the engine. I turned to face her, and I said, Chloe, look at me. She looked up. Her eyes were red. She wasn't crying yet, but she was close. I said, I'm not going to pretend this isn't a big deal, because it is. But I'm also not going to make you feel bad for being honest. That took guts, a lot of guts. She let out a shaky breath, like she had been holding it for 3 years and finally let it go. Then I said, but I need you to hear me, really hear me. I love Sarah. I chose her. I wake up every day and I choose her. And that's not going to change. She nodded. She said, I know. I've always known. I said, so what happens now? And here's the part I still think about. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and said, nothing happens. I just needed you to know. I needed to say it out. Loud, so I could finally start letting it go. She asked me not to tell Sarah, not because she wanted to keep a secret forever, but because she wanted to be the one to tell her. In her own time, in her own way. She said, Sarah is my best friend. I owe her that much, I agreed. Not because it was the easy choice, but because I believed her. I believed that she was telling me not to destroy something, but to heal something inside herself. We sat in the car for another 20 minutes. Just talking. Not about feelings. Just talking. About work. About movies. About stupid stuff.